This thing is amazing sauce. All right. Good morning and welcome to Mo Knows featuring me, Monica Mo Justice. I'm getting the finishing touches on my morning look. My out the door stuff. My morning look. My my out the Okay. My mic sounds nice. All right, let me see what this is. I don't know what that is. Okay, I'm good. All right. All right. Today, I want to clarify a couple of things from, oops. Okay, I wanted to clarify a couple of things that I said this week that needed to be revisited. So first, in covering the Malia Davis case, right? Good morning, Satsuma. How are you, lady? I just assume Satsuma is a lady. Anywho's, I still gotta fix the thing on my dress. This is that wrap dress from hell that I gotta really straighten out. All right. Malia Davis. Yesterday I reported about another case wherein a minor, a baby, but not an infant, but a 5-year-old is the victim of a crime. So, at the hands of the parents, something went wrong, and in that reporting of that case, um, in that reporting or that view of the case, uh, the parents, no, the mother has been charged with tampering with a corpse, in that she at some point in time, her daughter died in her care, and she contends that it had something to do with toilet bowl cleaner and the child being lethargic, unable to move, and unable to eat, and that she didn't seek medical attention for the child because she was afraid of CPS would remove the child. There are other events. She told two stories to the police, two different stories, two different accounts of what happened. But the most egregious item, no matter what the finding is when the autopsy results are in, the mother, 27-year-old, took the child and wrapped her up in blankets and stored her in a closet for days. Now, it's unclear until the actual report comes out from the autopsy, if you believe autopsies, can determine exactly what happened. Then we'll find out more details based on what the autopsy says versus what the mother says happened. And that's it. So right now we're dealing with tampering with evidence, a corpse, and the corpse is her child, her 5-year-old child. I got all kinds of theories going on in my head about why we're being told that skin was I just got all kinds of thoughts in my head. So I'm gonna wait till the autopsy report comes in, because my goal is not to really follow that case or dissect that event, that tragic event. My goal is to really focus on what are the charges and are they fair for justice? And is it not time for that and for that state to come up with more balanced laws that give you the sense that you're getting justice in this event? And hopefully in these kind of circumstances, and hopefully it would be a deterrent that you don't want CPS involved, but you don't want to get the death penalty your damn self. So maybe there would be a deterrent in there so that the next parent will seek help. And we have to ask ourselves, why is there a fear of seeking help? And one of the things that was presented at the case was, are these people legal citizens? So it's interesting, to say the least, because they talked about, if she was a U.S. citizen or not. But it's just disheartening at best. So the case that's similar to all these cases that I want to keep using as the baseline, and I'm using them as the baseline because we're basing it on, or at least I'm looking at it from the perspective of, this is the law today, and when applied to a Caucasian couple, a white couple, white defendants, when compared to them, what is the consequence? Because that's the consequence of today, and that's the consequence that needs to be applied until further notice. You can't get mad because people are continuing to engage in this behavior, and then you want to charge the new people harsher than what you've previously charged. So that is the point. That's my limited scope of why I'm here and still evaluating this situation. So I did realize that I do have it in this Malia Davis tab, and it's Colton Turner. Good morning, Gab. Good morning, Ivame, and good morning, Katrina. It's Colton Turner's case that new laws were developed. But the new laws that were developed is just that if you have a CPS case, right, Child Protective Services case, and you're under investigation, they will find your ass. You can't just pick up and leave, because that's what happened in this particular situation. The mother picked up and left. But the other and the mother during the course of the investigation gave differing stories as to the whereabouts of the child and what happened to the child. Eventually, the child corpse was retrieved from a shallow grave because the boyfriend led the police to the corpse. And it actually was the FBI to the corpse. So court paperwork reveals that on September 12th, around 2:30 in the morning, Turner led police to the Colton's gravesite in a wooded area. in Austin. So oh, there was a search warrant issued. Oh, that's interesting. I'm gonna have to click on that later on. So that's the baseline, and these people ultimately um got sentences that will have them on the street in no time. They can apply for parole within 3 years, and that's egregious. But that's what's on the books now. And as I'm looking at justice, I want to know if that's the same type of application of law um, Darian Vance is facing. So to that end, every case that pops up over there in Texas, I'm gonna keep my eye out. And to that end, another case has popped up. So 2 months ago, in June, almost 3 months now, another couple. What? But this now is the mother and the father of a 2 month old. Yeah. So we had a child born 29 weeks. Little girl, female, 29 weeks. So she was a preemie. She stayed in the hospital for several months. That's why I don't understand how she's only considered a 2 month. But anyway, July 3rd, she was discharged and went home with her parents. By July 15th, she was dead. I had disparaging information because 2 articles that I read on this. One article had 2018, and the other article, it makes it seem like it just happened this year. So, and the charges were upgraded yesterday on the case, so I'm gonna have to go try to find the paperwork to align to the story. But in any event, they're being charged with, guess what, guys? They didn't tamper with evidence being a corpse, because they did take the child back to the hospital. One of the articles I read, they had also taken the child to the pediatrician, and he had encouraged them to take the child to the hospital, and they did not want to go at that time. So they subsequently, at some point, they took the child to the hospital. But they took the child to the hospital, so they wasn't dealing with a corpse. So guess what they get charged with? They get charged with direct murder. And that's what their charges are. And their families, the family of the girl is blaming the father, saying that, I never wanted my daughter with this man. He was the problem. The parents of the father is saying everybody gets the death penalty if they took away my grandchild. So, and these are Caucasians, and they are being charged with murder. So we're going to follow that case too, but with the knowledge that the main premise is they didn't have the investigation didn't begin with a corpse, or the investigation didn't begin with a missing child, that everyone has to do has to do an investigation to find out what happened. So that might be the difference of why it's an immediate charge of a thing. The baby had 96 fractured bones. I'm not fair saying 2 month old. So I'm just going to say 96 fractured bones. And I didn't get the ages of the parents. So I'm gonna have to do more on that. But I just wanted to be clear as I said this morning, I just wanted to clear some stuff up that and I'll do better at this. I'll make sure in the description box I give you this story because it's coming from CNN, a CNN article. All right, so that's one thing I want to clear up. Second thing I want to clear up. Let's get it all out. And I need it to be its own live. So when I do another West Coast event, we'll have a discussion on this because it's a vibrant discussion in the neighborhood. What is a mass shooting? And white folk are not going to come in here now and explain to us that black on black crime is now mass shootings. We've had black on black crime in our community for an upteen amount of years. Y'all done gave it that title, black on black crime, to try to justify why we should be upset that we have officer involved shootings and that they're killing us as people of color because we've been killing ourselves for so long, black on black crime. So do not insult our intelligence and try to tell us that we won't get some mass shootings under our belts. So I came to you earlier this week because a young man turned himself in for being involved in a shooting at a football game wherein people were, did I say injured? What happened at that football game? Let me make sure I don't. I think he's charged with six counts of attempted murder. So this occurred in Melville, Alabama. The Mobile, Alabama County District Attorney's Office says 17-year-old D'Angelo Pornell's bond has been set. He was granted $60,000 bond for each of the 9 counts of attempted murder. The total bond equals $540,000. Pornell was booked into Metro jail over the weekend following a mass.
Congratulations.
I swear. Following a mass shooting at Lade Pebbles Stadium Friday night after a high school football game. Pornell is still behind bars Monday evening after the bond was granted. Something as innocent as a high school football game turns into a tragedy because of the senseless act of violence. So notice how they say this is a senseless act of violence, right? How do you describe, or how do they describe the acts of the mass shooter who walks into the Walmart and just shoots up the damn place, or walking through a parking lot and randomly shoots people? In my brain pain, this does not qualify as a mass shooting by our conversational points. Chaos at the high school football game lands a teen behind bars. Chaos. This is how the media covered it. Chaos. The first shot rang out. I just started running. That's what was said by a witness at the Friday night's game. Yeah, that's what black folk do. We run. Shots fired. We run. We ain't looking around trying to figure out shit. We run. Exit. Mobile police say a teenager opened fire in the course in the concourse of the stadium. The shooting stemmed from a fight. The shooting has a nexus. It has a ground zero. It was a fight. Police say the team pulled out a gun and started shooting into the crowd. Mobile police say they are investigating the possibility of a second shooter. The DA says there is surveillance video of the incident. It was very clear. There is surveillance video, and it's very clear that they were about to fight. There were two guys that were about to fight. 9 people were shot. 6 have been released from the hospital. We believe this is attempted murder. When you take a loaded weapon and fire it into a crowd of people, it's by God's grace that nobody was killed. 17-year-old Purnell turned himself in over the weekend. He appeared before a judge Monday morning for the first time where his bond was set. We think there needs to be a lot of conditions, right? While the team was granted a $60,000 bond for each charge, if he comes up with the money, there'll be rules that he must follow, blah, 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 blah. Can I just say this again? And this sounds crazy and analyzing violence, but at some point in time, we got to, because you're not going to lump this under the same category and think that it's going to get a pass because you don't want to admit that you got crazy folk and always have had crazy folk go postal. See, years ago, we called this going postal. When somebody just walked in, because most of the time they just walked into a postal facility and started shooting up their co-workers, right? That is something totally different than there being a fight and gunshots break out, opposed to somebody minding their own business, walking down the street, and another person just walking up to them and shooting them. Somebody walking into a supermarket or Walmart or wherever the establishment is to go shopping with the expectation of coming out with grocery bags and come out in a body bag. There is a defined difference. So do not pee on our leg and tell us that this stuff is a mass shooting. And do not mistake my words as if I am condoning this behavior. I am telling media not to clump us under the same umbrella with your terroristic people that are doing domestic violence at their best just because they hate. This was a fight. This was a dispute. These people had a confrontation. Most of the time, when we are watching your community kill off each other, we see that they don't even care. They don't have no kind of conversation with the person. They just randomly go up there and shoot and kill. They decide murder, death, kill that morning that they're going to take folk out, and they go in armed, ready to do that. That's a mass shooting. Do not try now to put under the definition of mass shooting anytime more than one person is shot and try to make us believe that that's a mass shooting. Mass shootings start with intention to randomly randomize. They randomize their targets. This was a traditional black on black crime. I never thought there'd be a day when I just want to celebrate that the word black on black crime really means something. But it doesn't mean mass shooting, and we're not going to let you hold us to that standard. I'm sorry. Take your fights to where they need to be at. The bottom line, though, in all of this, in all of these skirmishes, all of these events that occur, is that two things are consistent. People do not know conflict resolution, and they don't know how to resolve issues without seeking violence, without it escalating. They do not know how to de-escalate. That is one of the techniques that is being implemented across the board in police departments everywhere. Is the de-escalation methodology, because we come in, we all, not just the police officers, not just the citizens, as a human being, we walk into situations with our own bias and our own prejudices in our forefront, and people don't want to admit that. But with that, de-escalation and conflict resolution has to be a first line of communication on how to really effectively solve issues. And then lastly, these topics are hard to discuss with a straight face. They are debilitating. And they're all facets of this stuff. So you really do have to explore these things on a case by case basis, on a one-on-one. You can't really lump it under one umbrella, though we do. But you really shouldn't. And you should review each of these circumstances independent of the other. The only time you should be comparing them or putting them is when the facts are similar. And the overwhelming theme when you look at these situations, beyond not having the ability to solve conflict through resolution and to de-escalate, there are mental health issues pervasive. They are present, and everyone knows it. Good morning, Annabella. Everyone knows it. And I hope I said good morning to Gab. And Honey Lot. Good morning. Everyone, and Evolving. We know it's here. And we're turning a blind eye. And at some point in time, you find yourself trapped. Because if you're a thinking being, you can identify when somebody just is not stable. I'm sorry, you can identify it. And it becomes, what do you do when you've identified that the person is not stable? Do you continue to engage them, or do you move past it? Do you get to a point where you say to yourself, oh my God, there's no win with this person. I'm fighting the impossible. It's not the impossible burger, it's the impossible. When do you come to that conclusion? I'm saying that for a purpose at this point in time. And I'm going to close out on this. Last night, I had a West Coast Live, and true to format, chat discussion dominated and prevailed. It opened my eyes to a bigger problem that is out of my pay grade. See, this is free. See, this world here is free. So it's out of my pay grade. A lot of folks are hurt. But what I've seen in this community, being the YouTube community, is that as time progresses, people begin to forgive and things move on. And the first level of that, people are using these terminologies, but they have no freaking clue what they mean. They're like, be held accountable. After you listen to the back and forth, you realize one thing that's for certain. In the K unit, you folks are cousins. Y'all kissing cousins all the way around. All of y'all. Y'all are a family. And this is a family affair with a family dispute. And that's all it is. Ain't nobody no more racist than the next person. If the person you calling a racist is a racist, then what are you? There's three fingers looking back at you. Remember the one when you point a finger, there's three fingers looking back at you? I understand y'all angry. Some of the issues raised and some of the harshness, I don't believe will be resolved. Based on what I heard last night, I don't believe some of it could be resolved. I think it hit people's personal threshold on what they will accept from the opposite race. So it's told you that some people have some personal limitations. And some people have personal ethics. And all I can say from a moral perspective is I respect everybody's position. Honestly, I really do. I respect the ones that want to be apologetic. I understand. I understand their point of view, POV. Understanding somebody's point of view, though, does not always mean you agree with it. And that is a fundamental problem that you have in the key unit, is that people believe that whatever their point of view is that they're putting out here, you must support it by affirming it. That's not how life works. That is not how life works. That is why they have the statement, you agree to disagree. See, you people keep speaking terminology, but you haven't processed it to understand what it fucking means. You don't understand the application of it. And that's what the problem is. I use the word impasse. What I will tell you, an impasse is the same thing. Agree to disagree. It can't be resolved now. You come back, you revisit it another time. Get yourselves a motherfucking ooh, the camera went out. Get yourselves a freaking dictionary. Y'all need a dictionary. Because that's the only way you're going to be able to deal with issues that you can't deal with. See, we didn't have to go through this last night. Oh man, why they do this? What's very insulting? Um, I have to figure out. Yeah, I have to figure out how to put it back up there. But the computer's not doing that much work. Um, People have to figure that out. That's all I could say. That's when you get to a point where you agree to disagree. I realized this morning when I woke up, I'm sorry, at the end of that live last night, I had to take 3 Motrins and a nightcap. Like I needed to go to bed. Really, I went and got some green tea. Um, I went and got me, I went and made me some green tea and 3 Motrins and went to sleep. Um, because y'all do not understand. For me, that was a bit much because it's emotional to me because I happen to respect all the people involved. So, uh, and I put my own personal anger towards some people that were in my chat on some other issues that I definitely would have asked them about. I didn't deal with it. What do you mean by random? I didn't know. It's not random. The Alabama shooting was a fight. There was a fight, kids pulled out, and there was a shot. There was shots fired. It was not a mass shooting. It was not what we define in our community, as far as I'm concerned. What we define as a mass shooting and what they've been defined as a mass shooting is when somebody walks into a place and just starts shooting people. And then we try to figure out after the fact what their motive was. Now they're taking black on black crime and saying that black on black crime is mass shootings. We've seen it creeping up when they were like there was, but other incidents. So you can't have it both ways. You can't tell us that we got black on black crime and then the next minute tell us that that we have that we're a part of the mass shooting count. But this is the deflect. This is the start of deflecting the statistics so that we don't have an overwhelming head count of white folk doing this kind of heinous acts, just walking up to people and shooting them. Getting in a mindset that they need to take out folk because of some underlying issue they have. But you can make the same argument with the black on black crime, but with the only difference is that there was a nexus, something triggered. There was a trigger that involved the people around there. But You know, it's a, and they challenge you. I hear you, T. I'm leaving. They challenge you like this because they say no one's gonna argue against this, because who would take the side of saying this is not a mass shooting when the outliner is that people got shot? They will not want to be in front of the camera saying this type of stuff, because the victims will come out against you and the lash out will come out, because the underlying thing people see is just victims. But when we're doing these classifications, y'all keep y'all mass shooting to yourselves. And as far as I'm concerned, I will continue to call this shit what it was: black on black crime, with the understanding that both types of crimes involve and require more conversations on de-escalation and more redress on mental health issues. And with that said, this is Mo, and I have to go. Again, I'm loving this, but I'm still gonna have the issue with the camera. I mean, I had the issue with the camera with Hangouts, but it is what it is. This is Mo. I got to go.